This is Community Formation, a podcast made by and for the Twilight Imperium community. You know what happened, dude?
No, I don't know what happened, honestly. Actually, I do, you fucking gloating bastard.
I'm a fucking winner, baby.
You're a
TI4
winner, actually. Oh, man. Yeah, no, you knocked that one Mantis guy off his high horse. Honestly, the guy needs to be come down a notch.
We got to knock down Mantis a notch. No. I am very proud to say, if you listen to not necessarily last week's, I don't know, maybe last week's, but the last episode, if you listen to that, you know that I signed up for a TIGL game, my very first one, and I ended up winning it. It was absolutely exhilarating. It was very, very fun.
We didn't have any faith in him last week.
No,
neither of us did.
I didn't have any faith in myself. Yeah, no, seriously. I was like, oh, here we go. And yeah, no, it was last time that I said like, oh, wouldn't you know it? I signed up for this game and then Mantis signed up for the same game, like literally 10 seconds after I did. And I was quite worried, but I ended up pulling it out. And what happened, I mean, like, and here's the crazy thing is that Mantis was my neighbor. So like, and Mantis did try to like stop me. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So I played Empyrean and he was playing Cabal. And what we did in the early game is I made him my dark pact buddy. So we had like really like good stuff going on, like good friendly relations. I had Mahawked as my other neighbor. So essentially I was very worried the entire time that I was going to get ranched, like entirely I was very, very worried that I was going to get absolutely stomped. And I was just able to keep my tempo up. I was scoring points and, it was the final round. I can't remember. Was it round 4 or round 5? No, it was round 4. I do believe.
Yeah, you told us it was round 4.
Yeah, totally. So it was round 4, and I, like, Mahawked had speaker, and he and I were talking, and we just had a friendly enough vibe where I was able to convince him to give me Imperial, because I was like, I just don't think I'm going to be able to have Imperial next round, so I'd rather, like, have it this round, and it just worked out between the two of us, and then at some point during that round, Mantis is looking at me and he's counting up my points, and he just essentially what happened is that he just like rushed the whole process where he's counting up my points. He just like rushed through it and didn't really quite see that I was going to be able to have the influence to be able to spend for the 3 tokens late in the round to be able to score lead for the front for my very last point. He just like kind of rushed past that and then very loudly and confidently was like, oh yeah, he can't win. And he's like,
do you have like some trade goods
he's not
like
getting to 10
away he wasn't counting for?
I don't know. It was like trade goods or it was planets or like whatever it was, but it was like the way I was budgeting everything. And then something, well, that was the other thing is that something happened within that round where I was able to get paid more trade goods. And so that kind of like put me over the edge of like, oh, I can actually budget for like everything I need, where it was like more shaky at the very beginning of the round. So honestly, the whole thing is that it was an exercise in having a poker face, having a poker voice or whatever, because they weren't necessarily looking at my face. If they could see my face, it would be like, oh God, But yeah, no, I was just biting my tongue, and Mantis was just like, he can't get to 10, and then everyone believed him, and that is like the only.
Someone did the work for you.
Yeah, exactly, and I honestly think that was the only reason why I won, and even despite that, Mantis still went to my home system. I think I had a parlay, you know what I mean? It was just like one of those like really lucky strokes where like I just barely got by. But that having been said, I'm proud of the game I played. It was just a real confidence booster for me.
Should be.
And a whole lot of fun. So I've got 1 win under my belt. I'm a veteran now, which is pretty cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, I'm hanging out on the Cool Guys Discord with the other veterans. The next League game that I want to put together, all vets. I want to have an all vet game. I want to go for like the 2 chevrons, the 2 stripes.
Yeah.
I want to go for that. I want to get my ass kicked. You know what I mean? Like that's what I want. So that's essentially what I have to say about that. It was really great. It was a lot of fun.
I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm happy for you.
Thank
you. To get one. I think I got one brewing. My win for the TIGL and PBD 90. Although it's really funny, I just did Politics Writer going into round 4 as Soul and got Minister of War and Politics because I had confounding. Yasarl's in the game, but they're my left neighbor, and like I was like, he's not going to sabo this because it helps him. And I moved it all the way straight across the table. Went from 3rd pick to 1st pick. And immediately after, Yasarl, the next thing was like for the agenda. And Kyle, he's playing Yasarl, and he goes, "Hey, you want some votes?" And then like 3 lines of text later, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to mage you on Frox." I'm like, "Dude, you just asked me for votes. Why are you saying this? Like you're not. No, I'm not gonna vote for you now."
Wow, that's hilarious.
Hopefully that'll be my 1 league win. I need to get like a real time game in, but like I'm about to leave for Colorado in about 12 hours and then do a wedding. I didn't plan anything past that. So
totally.
Yeah.
If you're listening on the Podbean right now, that means that you cannot see his glorious handlebar mustache that he is sporting. What is it about mustaches and weddings, man? Can you explain it to the folks at home?
So I have this weird like in joke with no one but myself that when I have children one day, I'm gonna show them photos, and like the only time I ever get my photo taken is like at weddings. So like I'll always have a mustache. So they're just gonna think I just always had a mustache.
Okay.
At all times.
That makes sense.
It's been for about. I couldn't grow a mustache till about 5 years ago, so only for the last 5 years. But yeah.
That's
so dumb.
That's really funny. That's what that is that's really funny.
Yep, that's what I'm growing it. And other than that, man, went and saw my favorite band, Modest Mouse, live this past Friday, and boy, was that a good time. They can either suck or they can be good. They're really, really good this time around. But
that's awesome.
Not a lot of TI news on my side. You actually have a bit of exciting TI news.
Do I?
You maybe want to break it. Yeah, PBD 90. What's going on there?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so if you are on the async server, you have probably seen the hubbub about this. Or, if you just like are a galactic counselor or whatever, So what's in the works for like the Galactic Council episode for next month, I believe it's going to be, is that Matt and Hunter are playing an async game, and they decided to split up. So there's 2 simultaneous async games going on under PBD 90. It's PBD 90A, 90B, Matt's in 90A, Hunter's in 90B, and there was just like a random raffle essentially for like who is going to be in the game, and I just got randomly selected to play with Hunter, which is cool as fuck. So I've been like going in, doing my clowning thing, making my memes, like fucking roasting everybody in the peanut gallery, doing my thing.
Which, by the way, they made a peanut gallery. We can't, you can't jump in and talk in their channel, but you can go in and talk shit. Right now, we're making a tally of wrong channel actions for Matt and Hunter.
No, that's a great running joke that we have going on for sure. There should be there is another running tally since Spoon and I both somehow are playing Titans in the in the alternating games. So we're like having a contest of who can forget about sleeper tokens more. And I really thought that I was going to be able to remember them, but I forgot them is what I did. It's just, I think it's just part of playing that faction. You're just bound to forget something. There's way too much to keep track of, honestly. Wow. But yeah, so not a whole lot to say other than the other game is going way faster than mine. Like Matt's game, like, and I don't know what it is, like if it's just like
Matt
a combination of who's in
like
there.
3:30 in the morning. His
I mean,
level of commitment.
I mean, I'm not surprised, man. I mean, it's similar to like what happens to Spoon, where he like Spoon's like, I'm awake with the baby right now, and that's like literally the only reason why I'm talking to you. You know, at this
definitely,
moment.
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, that's the greatness of async, though. Like, you can get on and you can do stuff when you got time, and guess what? That's when
Totally.
Matt has time. So, no, it's pretty chill.
Yeah,
I've been in and out. I'm not trying to bull in and read too much going on, but quite a few good players in there. We got Flight. You, Jazz, Teaspoon, obviously. By the way, totally random lottery for ended up in the game, so it wasn't like you put your name in, then they did like a /pick, and yeah. So no, it's really. If I missed your name and you're listening, sorry about that. I don't have an eidetic memory, it turns out. But other than that, man, other async news, since that's kind of like we're in a bit of a lull for a lot of action. PBD 100 got off and rolling. I've had a raucous one turn this week.
Yes.
We're blazing speeds over there. I took Saudor, if anyone's curious. Best planet. Got an industrial relic fragment, sold it for 2 trade goods. It's great.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, no, for real. Not a whole lot to say about PBD 100 because it's kind of crawling along, but it is an amazing experience to be a part of it. I actually, after Mantis and I had our game, was when I just reached out to him and said, like, hey, dude, are you even like on the async server yet? You should totally join because we got this crazy cool thing going on, 25-player game. And if you want to team up with me and be on my team, like, that would be super tight. So, I've had a lot of, like, bonding with Mantis, and it's been really, really fun. We're playing SAR, which is great, actually.
Yeah. Well, considering where you start and what you're right by, yeah.
We got the Alpha Asteroid Field, obviously SAR's favorite system. We have it literally just 2 away from the potatoes. We moved into Dalbooth the Z-Hand. We're going to be able to move into the Alpha Asteroid Field, set up shop for the rest of the game, and the world's our oyster, man. The world is our the galaxy, rather. The galaxy is giant, our oyster, and we're just going to have a blast. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
Mac and I are we're getting PDS2 round 1. We already have Graviton and Plasma because we're right next to Mechatol, so we're like,
yeah,
let's strap in.
No, you should get Majin. It's actually get Majin. It's actually going to be a good tech this game.
Well, we have to get our faction decks, man.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because when we up in Winnu, we're gonna go there and we're gonna smack them.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. Once you get IIHQ, does that mean that you can't be eliminated?
Yep.
But also, you can't put a space dock on the Custodia Vigilia or anything like that. So
nope.
So you
we're always there. We have those 3 votes, and we're gonna fucking use them.
So you can be put into a position where you're functionally eliminated, but you're not actually.
Well, if Hakan were to get a mech onto our home system and hand it back to us.
Oh, hey, there you go. There's an idea.
We've thought about this, you Sarball motherfucker.
Dude, I'm not coming after you, man. Why would you think that I would come after you?
No, I'm not. I mean, there's way bigger targets. I mean, Winnie went to Rex first action, right? So
Sure. Yeah. Well, so we don't have a whole lot more to say about PBD 100 because there has only been like 1 cycle of actions pretty much at this
all
point.
25 turns.
All 25 turns. Yeah, for real.
Yeah, we get more than 1 in a day. It's amazing.
Yeah, if you want to learn more, if you want to look at the map, I have been making some videos with Teaspoon where we're hanging out on the TTS save. We're talking about what's happening. We're just kind of like touring around the map, just kind of looking at all the action. And, you can see those videos floating out there. If you can't find it, just go ahead and message Teaspoon and he'll send you the link or message me or like whatever.
I guess
you'll be able to find it out
somewhere
there.
along the way.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, so it's been cool. There's a lot of fun stuff going on.
I agree
we
with
should
that.
probably move on.
I guess we have like a show.
We have a show to do. We actually have stuff to talk about. So what's next, Frox?
I think next up, I'm really feeling maybe we should talk about a pretty exciting week. We've already dived into it a little bit. Maybe we talk about the TIGL a little bit. Have our
Beep,
oh,
beep, beep,
what's
beep,
that?
beep, beep,
What's that?
beep, beep.
Something
Oh,
coming in?
what?
What's that,
I'm
sir?
hearing something.
Sir?
Beep, 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 beep,
Yeah.
beep,
Oh,
beep, beep,
oh,
beep,
wow,
beep,
weird. I
beep.
see your mouth moving and these noises are coming out of it.
TIGL Bulletin coming straight to you. We got hot info, hot off the press from Big Al Cappuccino.
So, actually, really, really big week 2. There were 21 games completed in Season 1 so far. 3 async, 3 in real life. Oh, wow.
Cool.
And then 15 TTS. Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome.
Mhm.
3 players went 2 for 2 with back-to-back wins. Massive congratulations to Muffin Manifesto, Bob C222, and Rodeska. I actually have played with all 3 of them. Very, very
Really?
good, solid TI4
Oh, that's
players. Yeah.
cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
Muffin, I remember back in like January, he was posting like, "Hey, I'm kind of new. Do you want to watch one of my games?" This is why I was on the TTS server a lot more playing games. And he like sat through one of the games and watched it. I'm pretty sure, maybe I'm mistaking him, but he was definitely involved. And Brassbird is placed 18th now at the bottom of the 1-win bracket.
That's
and another
all
13, one
I
more
need.
full.
That's all I need. As long as I'm on the list, I don't care if I'm at the bottom, baby. I do not give a shit. Just if I'm on the list, that's cool, baby.
But you can get a makeup game and maybe get another W in there, big guy.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, like I said, I want to play an all vets game next time, so the chances of me winning that one astronomically low.
But think of the ELO.
Yeah. Oh no, but think of it, man. Think of it for sure.
That's all. I dream of ELO.
Yeah.
Electric Sheep ELO. That's all I got.
Electric Light Orchestra. That's one of my favorite bands, dude.
Man, dude.
That's one of my favorite bands.
By the way, like my thing with ELO, this is a little sidebar. It's like I don't realize how many good songs they have until I go like,
yep.
Alexa, I don't say it too loud.
Dude,
it's
play
one of
ELO,
those groups. And then it's like 8 straight bangers.
Yeah, absolutely. You got Mr. Blue Sky, Turn to Stone, like
Witchy Woman?
No, Telephone Line. Love Telephone Line. That one's really good.
Okay, guys. Yeah. We're an ELO podcast now. We're going to have the guys on next week, reaching out to their people right now.
Jeff Lynne is coming on the podcast.
Hey, can you get Jeff Lynne on the line? Get Jeff Lynne on the line. Walk off, get him.
Wait, is he still alive, dude?
I mean, probably. We're asking to get him on the pod. He better be. God damn, what's even the point?
Oh, my fucking God, dude.
To circle back to what we're actually supposed to be talking about, the factions performing well include Joel Nar with 3 wins in 9 games and Necro with 2 wins in 6. Huh.
Not surprised.
Yeah, it's weird having a leg up in the tech game, in the token game. Weird what that does to you, huh?
Yeah, totally.
Actually, in trade goods, both. Oh my God, I just realized how stupid those 2 factions are. We can get into that some other time.
Word.
Yin being picked 6 times with 1 win indicates people like the Codex 3 improvements. Argent, Mahakt, Titans, Hakan seem to be underperforming with 1 win each in 7 games. L1, Nalu, and NRA getting 0 wins with 7 games is surprising.
Ooh, interesting. That is
still a pretty small sample size.
Sure.
That's my personal opinion.
No, totally. I dig that for sure. And I feel like all these numbers obviously are going to shake out in more realistic terms over the course of the season and multiple seasons. It will be really interesting to see where we're at in a few months' time, and then like 6 months' time, and then like 9 months' time.
Total agreement there. Yeah, and I mean, like, I think L1's been underperforming in like whatever kind of meta you're in. I guess L1's just not getting the punch going. Nalu, I think in these competitive games, like people are just punching them, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's how I'm gonna have to play against them.
Everyone's really aware of how powerful they are now.
Yeah. Like if you just give them an inch, it's actually a mile. Like it's not they're taking a mile. It's literally they just already have that mile.
Yep.
I mean, Zayu, and then NRA. I mean, it has to be inexperienced hands or bad luck because I really do think they're
it's a great faction.
I think they're a great faction. Yeah. Win making has only been a thing in 2 out of the 21 games, and from all accounts, the competitive spirit of TIGL is alive and well, with folks preferring to play it out and let other peoples do the same. Yeah. And I heard about some pretty spicy stuff from K Ruthless, but I never want to ask him about it. Oh, you want to hear about it?
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, his game had a hard set time limit. They go into round 5, and like they're the person who's gonna win on the 1, and it looks like it. They're all working on slaying, and he is playing Necro, K Ruthless, and he has his flagship and some units about to be benedicted into a system, but he accidentally put his mechs on the planet instead of in the space. So they lost the space combat.
Yes, that makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes sense. The
Yes, so
Alistair
that, like, they messed that.
getting
Yep.
moved without any ground forces, then
Yep.
it's just the
A
Alistair,
shitty
which is,
flagship. Yeah.
I mean, it's like what, 2 on a 9?
Two on a
It's
9,
2
3
on a 9.
capacity. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
happened, and then basically the hard time limit happened. Like 2
Mhm.
people had to leave, and they knew that going into it.
Mhm.
And someone just broke support and gave it to the person who was a 9 to give them the win.
There you go.
And the person who had 2 action phase secrets on the 8 had a shot, and they were pretty salty about it. So
Yeah, I mean, understandably so.
yeah.
Understandably so.
I
mean,
think like the people doing the algorithms, I don't know what they can do, but they got to give someone a bump along the way, or something. I don't know. It's actually that's TI
man.
though.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it is, and that's I
Yeah.
think that's just like an element of the game that
Yeah.
will continue to be like debatable and really like there's so much to talk about when it comes to that subject.
No, I think
You know
our
what I
next
mean?
little arc is going to have to dive into
Win making.
maybe not win making. I think we need to. Well, I think we need to go into. We start big. We go with the boat float versus Aussie style, since we have 2 very good sources for that.
Totally.
I think that's our next little arc is do that, and then we go into win making after that. I think that's 2 big topics that can carry us.
Oh yeah,
we can find some good speakers for all that. I think.
Oh, for sure. And and I to cap it off, I will say what I said in our little private chat with Big Al. I said something like, because Big Al was making the point of like, this is what happened, but on the server, like a lot of people a lot of the Aussies obviously like consider it to be unsporting is the term that he used. And I said, I can totally see and understand like why they would feel that way, obviously. But speaking as someone who has never been win made before, I'd be okay with it, baby. Like,
I have
support.
only win made intentionally one time in my entire life, and I did it because that person who was gonna win did it against me. Like I was gonna win the game, so I was like, nah, we're returning the favor.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
And I'm in that guy's wedding this week.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
So speaking very openly to everyone out there, if you want to win make me, I would be okay with it. I would be 100%.
If we're in a competitive game, I'd probably turn it down. But if
I
it's
will
like
accept
a casual thing,
the support. I will accept it. All right. So just so you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Oh, and I do want another fun quote while we're about the segue. Spoon was talking about our different play styles, how you're all chill and relax, and me and him, our blood pressures would just, if we were on the same team, just skyrocket. And I was just like, I think I take the game too seriously, where you're like, no, I'll just take the win. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think that's what brought that to mind.
Oh, sure. I mean, like, the way I feel about it is like, I've been sitting here for hours. I've been busting my ass. I've been trying to score these objectives and everything. I've probably been through some bullshit. Like, I deserve it. I deserve something nice in my life, man.
I'm not joking. Thank you.
It's time, finally, once again, for the Galactic Crisis Pact. That's
what
right.
A crisis!
What a crisis it is. It's a very exciting time. We are starting up the community game once again. If you're not on the server of Community Plays TI, it's a whole lot of fun. I'd recommend that you join in. I will say this. A lot of people are like intimidated by the idea, which I can totally understand. But, I'll bring it all the way back to game 1. And when my son is also named Abort was telling people about the server, the number one thing that he wanted to stress to people is you can just come hang out. You can just be a fly on the wall. You can just hang out and bullshit with your friends. There's literally like no pressure to like make any kinds of decisions or whatever. And that's what I would recommend to anyone who wants to check it out. Just come hang out. It's like literally that kind of vibe. And so we're starting up this new game. It's game 5 now. And just as I was predicting, it's a kind of a palate cleanser. just more of like a standard game. There is a variant that we are doing, but it's not as off the wall as the Franken game that we just finished recently.
I do think the draft. We should dip a little bit into the draft before we go into like what the brass tacks.
No,
of it
go
all,
for
if
it.
that's
Go
cool
for
with
it.
you. Yeah, draft was actually really funny. We had a really funny moment. Basically, we had 5 factions that we knew about. 1 mystery faction. Mystery faction was Sardak, I think. Correct. At the end,
I can't remember.
of it all. I can't. Me neither, dude. So I was lost in that obelisk. I was trying to cross it. Anyways, but then you for speaker order you could either pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you could pick random, which was mystery. And we picked mystery, and it rolled 1, so we became the speaker. The other person who was speaker got bumped down.
Yep.
And the order got dropped from there.
Oh yeah, forgot to mention that both Frox and I are on the same team, which maybe shouldn't be allowed, but it just happened, baby.
Well, they wouldn't get this name. It's from the future. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're playing. The thing is that we're playing Nomad. That's how it worked out. So we got all sorts of memes going on that have to do with the future. We got this whole thing going on with Semlore. Like Semlore,
that's not us. That's everyone.
It's Well, I mean, it's a meme for everyone, but I feel like
it's our life. It's our religion.
Yeah. Our whole thing is that we're obsessed with Semlore, which is not in our slice, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It's always in our slice. Our plastic's going to be there. Come on now.
Your slice is what you make it. Live, laugh, conquer.
Live, laugh, bonker is what's about to happen. Oh, man, someone's about to have a bad fur day, and it's not us. That's all I'm going to say.
For real. So let's see. The variant. What we're doing is this, and I don't know whose idea this was necessarily, but there was like a screenshot posted where someone was saying like, well, here's what we've done a couple of times is that in round 1, you don't reveal any objectives. There are no objectives like other than your secret objective that you draw at the beginning of the game. It's like you got that, but there are no public objectives. And then at the end of round 1 in the status phase, you reveal all 5 stage 1 public objectives. And then at the end of round 2 and every round after that, you reveal 1 stage 2 objective.
Yep.
So we'll see how that goes. I mean, it sounds interesting. I'm kind of thrown off by the idea of not having to chase any objectives in the first round.
It's kind of nice. It kind of helps the weaker factions in a way to like kind of get their bad starts rolling, but it also could accelerate a bigger faction because they're already better, so they can just
I mean, it definitely seems like an idea where someone came up with it with the intention to be like, okay, I'm going to try and balance like a weaker faction start against a stronger faction start. But I mean, that's a really good point, and it actually makes me think of something that Matt and Hunter have said before where they're like, I can't make Arborek good. Like I can there's no like magic bullet to be like, oh, just do this one weird thing and then and then Arborek is like magically a better faction. Like it just doesn't really work like that, So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. I mean, I'm down to check it out, man. Like when it comes to community game, I'm down to check anything out. Let's just
for
hang
sure.
out
I think it'll be a lot of fun. Exactly. We have a couple of on our team. I think I've taken a back seat because we have a couple of people who are super excited about stuff, and I don't want to. At least I'm not having to talk anyone down. That's my running theme. All 3 games I've been a captain for. Hey, when are we getting hyper metabolism? Someone always chimes in with that. I'm just like, oh my god, we're not getting hyper.
No, our team is great. There's a lot of meme power on our team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, we got the cages memes. I mean,
yes. We have the meme team. Once again, it's like every team that I'm on is a meme team, but this team in particular has some strong meme energy. Speaking of memes, we are going to transition to Brassbird's Mega Meme Center. Love it.
Oh man, I'm hopping in. I'm ready. I think we're in for a real nice time.
No, he's in for it. We have a very strong collection this week, is what I would say. Last time we did a Meme Town exclusive, but now I was able to find some like good stuff from all sorts of different all sorts of different areas. So we're just going to jump right in to meme number 1. This is from Meme Messin. I mean, I was just complaining that they changed the name of the meme channel to just be memes. And I'm like, dude, this is not good enough. This is not good enough. But anyway, the point is that this was from Community Game, and I think these dice rolls were like you guys playing Obelisk, and you had to like roll some dice for some reason.
Yeah.
And then one of you motherfuckers rolled 69, and then this happened. Oh my god!
Oh, man. And then just everyone's just going nice.
So this is just some good, simple, fun. Everyone jumping in, having a good laugh, and I felt like it was a good place to start because Community Game is just that. It's simple, silly, fun. Is what it is.
Yeah, no, that was by Truth, by the way.
Of course, Truth. And he posted this one on our server, Beautiful People Club. And then I said, you got to post this on the Mega Meme Center because then I will remember to throw this in. So shout out to Truth for the meme here. Moving on to meme number 2.
Oh my god, I love this one so much.
This one's really good.
Oh my god!
You have it up. Can you say who this was? I can't remember. Quite.
Yeah, it's Flying Turpins.
That's it. Flying Turpins.
Yeah, they're on our team.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is essentially a nomad meme because it's all about the future. But you just don't get the reference yet. I mean, the thing is that I've never seen this template before. So
this is a surreal meme. I actually saw this years ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you're ever bored, go to r/surreal memes and just laugh.
Wow.
Oh man,
that's great.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
so good.
It just hit me even harder because I've never seen the template before. So I was like, "Is this really from the future, man?"
This is the only meme to ever use this template. This entirely makes no sense. Yeah, it's incredible.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, so stay tuned for more Nomad memes is what I will say. Stay tuned. They're pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. Meme number 3. This one, I know this one is Cages. Cages actually sent this one to me personally, and I just instantly said back, "You got to post this one. Like, get this one out there. This one's so good." Like,
oh man,
and I've seen this template before, and I've wanted to use this template for something, but I feel like Cages really hit the nail on the head, and this just is all the more appropriate because we were playing in that game with them playing NRA.
Oh man!
Wait, or were we in that game together? Was that? Oh yeah, no, that was the where I was Ghost and you were Necro. They were NRA. Yep. So it's all the more appropriate seeing them play NRA recently.
So they sent this to you in the game I'm in with them, where I'm Winu, and Lead from the Front just came out, and you're not in the game, but he tagged you immediately because you. Oh my god. Oh my god, I don't even want to think about that game. Anyways, so like I'm Winu, Spoon's Arborek, and like I've got Imperial in round 4, and he just heroed 11 infantry, 2 mechs, and like 4 fighters on top of Rex. I'm like, well, my game's over.
Wow, goodness. My goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was funny. Anyways, that's a great meme. I love that meme so much.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Moving right along to meme number 4. Big Al Cappuccino. This is actually a photo of Big Al Cappuccino. Let them just try to catch you. No, someone else already made that joke. I can't remember who it was, but he posted this meme and then someone was like, "Big Al, this you, man?" Oh my god. Yeah, another shout out to Kaluan for that async game where he was Winu at 3 points and had a 7-point swing round for the win. Incredible. Just absolutely incredible what Winnu is capable of when you let them run around naked like this.
Oh my god, dude.
This one, yeah, it was just too funny. Too funny and too delightful to leave by the wayside. Oh my god, dude. Wow. All right.
Oh, this next one's too good.
Oh man, I told you it was a really strong showing this time. Really strong. Meme number 5 coming right up. Oh, wait, this one's me? Yep. This one's me. I took the screenshots directly from the async.
That's directly from Matt's house. That's a photo of Matt.
This is literally a photo of Matt.
Yeah, he's walked out of his closet with his tile box, and all he found were 3 asteroid tiles and a slice.
Yeah. So he.
How do I hold all these asteroids?
Yeah. So this is PBD 90A, where Matt is playing Nalu, and he drafted a slice that had 2 asteroid fields. And then his neighbor, I guess it would be the right neighbor with their left equidistant was another asteroid field. So
oh my God.
He just realized like, oh, I guess I have to get anti-mass. And why can't I hold all these asteroid fields, man?
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh, here. Oh my God. I'm going to post a picture of it right now.
Yeah. You go for it. You post that. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Oh,
I mean, it's a shame because Nalu would love to have DET, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe he'll get both of those techs. We'll see. We'll see.
He doesn't need grav drive.
Yeah, I guess not. When you got Zayu, who needs grav drive? Who needs it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that one so much.
But Matt, it seems like he's having a great time on the async server, and it's really been fun to see both of them get into it. You know,
watching him and Kyle banter back and forth is exceptional.
Oh sure,
by the way.
I'm sure.
And then, oh man, and then I want to talk about a meme that Bort posted. It's how I sleep when Matt knows that when Matt is waiting for me to take my turn, and it's just a picture of him sleeping soundly.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's one of those reusable ones. He's definitely like posted that before where it's like
for sure.
When everyone is waiting for me to take my turn or whatever. Like oh my goodness.
No, he just crossed out everyone and made it Matt.
Exactly.
Like it was even dumber.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
But,
we're going to move on to just one more bonus meme. And
this is what I live for.
You'll see why it's a bonus meme because this actually doesn't really have anything to do with TI. This is you'll have to indulge me because this is honestly a meme just for our homies on the Beautiful People Club who are kind of obsessed with this stupid game across the obelisk, man. But
this Facebook game?
Yeah, no, the Facebook game. I call it the Facebook game because the character models and the whole art style just looks like Facebook, like almost like Farmville shit or something. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. But anyway, so this one, I think it was just last night, Phil Sage whipped this one together. And if you've hung out with us and played this game, you're going to be cracking up at this meme. And if you haven't played this game, you're just not going to get it, and that's okay. Yeah. But yeah, if you want to join up on Beautiful People Club and just hang out with some cool people.
Shoot either of us a DM.
Yeah, just DM us, man. Yeah, everyone's welcome. Because everyone's a beautiful person, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Like I told you, Frox, strong showing this time, and ping me.
Incredibly strong showing.
Yeah, ping me if you want to be on Brassbird's Mega Meme Center. That's the message. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, man, I mean, we didn't really even talk about it earlier, but we have part 2 of our interview with Philroy talking about Nobility Rising, his huge, massive, incredibly detailed homebrew project that he's been working on for years at this point. And it just keeps on keeping on, keeps on improving. He literally just messaged, I think it was just messaged us on the server and was like
Yesterday,
just yesterday, and was like, I'm making this change to like the names of the roles, and it's going to be like this. He's just like always working on it, always new stuff coming out, and we're just going to go ahead and transition right on to Philroy. So Phil, take me back to like what you would say is like the genesis point for Nobility, where you had like enough of a framework of stuff where you're realizing like, oh, this could be like a whole bigger thing than whatever it is that I'm like thinking about.
Sure. That is pretty easy for me to do. If I pull up Nobility, and then I go back here and I go, last edit was on July 30th, and I click here and I go open version history. I should have a version here that goes back all the way to...
Oh my gosh. He just keeps scrolling, by the way.
And he's scrolling.
June.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. June 30th of 2020.
Wow. June 30th, 2020.
2 years, 2 months.
Yeah, and this isn't even, I think, the earliest. I think I've got one that goes back a year past that. Somewhere I went to a new version of the sheet, and I don't think I held on to the oldest.
I see.
But I was looking at strategy cards. I was looking at strategy cards that would have an A side and a B side. So like if it got used once, it would flips for the next round.
Oh,
crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm. That'd be a whole new dynamic.
I added, and I've still got, and there's stuff here from the very beginning that is still in there. Primary, secondary, and tertiaries on strategy cards is still a thing, although it functions differently than it does here. Looking at custodians and having multiple roles, that was in the very beginning.
Yes.
I was looking at leader ideas, and then we ended up with leaders, so I had to scrap all this. And stuff archive. I was looking at, this is kind of like my overview for what the changes that I was looking at, and some of this stuff is still in, and some of this stuff is gone and out. Some of it is there, but it's in a very different form.
Oh, I can see monuments on there.
Monuments was intended to be included in the beginning. Yeah. I was intending. Academy, this is where I was looking at maybe borrowing those leaders or the mercenaries. But now, if I were to incorporate it, I would probably call it Calera's teams.
Oh, okay.
So there still is a framework there, but I'm not actively developing it. It would be like the expansion for POK adds Calera's, or expansion for Nobility adds Calera's or something. Senate directly influenced the VP objectives by manipulating objective cards. Yep.
Love it.
The Genesis was there. Victory points, a whole bunch of new map hexes. That'll happen because there are some easy to incorporate stuff. Moons, neutral stations, this was in there. Originally I was talking about moons being like weird extra stuff that you could find where it would be like suddenly there's a moon in the system. Well, now it's an Imperial megastructure. It's a space station that's near planetary size that is like a legendary planet that you can find somewhere.
Yes.
It's a microplanet that has a legendary ability, but it has a limited size. So you can only put so many units on it. It can have one structure and 2 ground forces. Of some kind. Objectives that have a game effect when scored. Guess what? I found somebody else who developed something else that implemented that better than I did, or I was thinking, and I absorbed it. So we have faction objectives. Which are each faction has 2 objectives that are unique to that faction. They have them in their play area from the beginning. They're kind of like a known secret objective. They're called faction objectives.
So they're face up.
They're face up. Yeah. Everybody knows what they are. When you score them, instead of getting a victory point, you get one of your faction techs or a tech of a certain color. So it becomes an alternate way to explore your faction tree, because there are a lot of it deals with the issue of where factions had a faction tech that they never used.
Yep.
Because it was dumb to go that way down the faction tree.
Yep.
Well, now you have more options. If you're ever on a turn where it's like, hey, I can't score a victory point, but I could score my faction objective. Maybe it's worth the time, effort, energy, resources, units, whatever, to pursue the faction objective to unlock a really cool, powerful faction tech that otherwise never gets used.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it opens up, and it opens up the tech tree quite a bit.
I'm getting impulse core, baby.
Hey man, don't listen. I saw it used. Don't at me. It was great.
I'm still working on the inverted promissory notes idea, but I haven't finalized those yet. The idea here was, instead of an I owe you, it's a you owe me.
Wow. Okay,
And they
it's like a banknote.
It's like a banknote. Like, hey, until you do this, I get some small benefit off you.
Oh, it's like a tithe. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's like a tithe, or I call them inverted promissory notes or something like that.
I like that. Yeah.
But
I like a lot of these mechanics. Very interesting.
Racial starting objective. Well, again, that's where that combined with the variable objectives to faction text. Somebody else came up with it. Convergent design, and I said, hey, let me steal this, and they said, go for it. New agenda system. Ended up with that, but again, it's not what I was laying out here, but somebody else came up with a cool system, and I went, hey, they're doing that better or cooler, and it saves me the design time to go in and dig it myself. Let me borrow what they're doing. And they were cool with it. Imperial infrastructure, that's in there. And like I said, this is the earlier version from 2 years ago.
Yeah. Where are we at now? Oh, is there more? Saw this bottom list and say, and where are we at now? I guess it's kind of like I want to see how big the change is over 2 years, I guess. Well, possibly 3, because you said there's a rendition from earlier, correct?
Yeah, but that was really where it was starting to develop into more than just a handful of kind of scattered, disparate things, and kind of trying to come together as a cohesive end state with a real development goal or outline for what I think the final product should look like. So there are earlier bits and pieces, but that's where the things. And I started trying to keep track of contributors. I gave up very quickly. The reality is, I'm going to put it out there and be like, everybody, if your name should be on here and it's not, let me know. And I'll leave it. If I can come up with a way for people to just add themselves as a contributor, go right ahead. Because the reality is, everybody's contributed.
Yeah, for real.
But I looking here, and it's I've got looking at the Diplo core for each faction and what they should look like and what different things are, strategy cards and tertiaries, and how those play out and how to organize them so that colors kind of work out, and there's a thematic consistency across components of the same color. So that not only I'm trying. I haven't succeeded completely yet, but I'm trying. Originally, I had some ideas for the Mancala where I was looking at using stones of different types, so that, like, there would be some set collection stuff going on. Ultimately, I kind of scrapped it as being mechanically more complex than I wanted to deal with for not enough payoff to be worthwhile. Could you do it on its own? Maybe. Yes, you might be able to come up with a system that is very cool if that's all you're doing, because the amount I have to think of how much player time and effort and energy they're investing into the game. How much do they have to invest in that, which leaves so much in the game for them to do for other things. I ended up abandoning it, but it was a cool idea. Huge objective list.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
And this isn't even the latest version of these. This is where I was at when I made the transition to doing it in Component Studio, because I wanted to force myself to review everything. And by going through and recreating all the components, it made me review everything, all the wordings, all the phrasings, all the numerical values, rebuild. So this is actually an out of date, but this is a snapshot of where I was at approximately 6 months ago. 6 to 8 months ago. But you have the objective list here, and then there's actually an objectives v4. Looking at a turn order update. How is the turn going to change? Because there are changes because I'm doing stuff here with docket. Where is that going to fit in the
cabinet
turn
things.
order? What's going on there? What do people need to be doing during that time? Trade good update. We could talk about that. I can go over to the table behind me, and I can show you some physical stuff.
Let's
might
do
explain
that.
it better.
Yeah, let's do that actually.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Yeah, no, that'd be incredible.
Let's move over to the table.
Let's do it. When I tell people about nobility, like the thing that like blows my mind the most, and the thing I talk about is like the trade system, where it's like you've got your own trade goods, and then you put those out there, but then it's like if they come back to you, then they're just commodities. They're not trade goods.
Commodities again.
What isn't that?
I mean, and you could see here, like I got a handful of trade goods here, and you know. These are the orange guy's trade goods. When the orange guy has them, they're commodities. These are the green player's trade goods. And when the green player has them, they're commodities. But when he gives them to somebody else, they're considered trade goods. But if you give them back to the green player, he treats them like commodities again. So if you overlook, he takes 3 back and his commodities is already full, he has to get rid of them. But if it's empty, he can take them back. He just then has commodities that he has to use to trade with somebody else and can't use them himself.
Wow.
There are imperial trade goods. These are these silver ones here. These are always trade goods.
Oh, love it.
Love
it.
So that anybody can use them as a trade good. And then you actually have, just because it's funny, I have no idea how it's going to work out. I also have some gold ones. These are also imperial trade goods, but they have a value of 3.
Oh my God.
Oh.
So unless you can make change, they're like a planet. You exhaust the planet for the value, and you could spend them to do something that costs 1, but if you can't, there's no making change.
Yeah.
Unless it's with another player who can literally make change.
Wow. So interesting.
Great. No, that really
and then when stuff happens here, I'm just using a little cup bowl for it, but it's a bag draw, and this represents the imperial economy as a whole. I'm calling it the imperial treasury, just for title. But again, all titles and terminology is subject to change. There are times I was calling it the imperial bank, the imperial treasury, the imperial mint, but some of those things got used for other things.
The imperial reserve.
Now that's something else entirely.
Oh goodness!
Oh my God, I love it.
I still love the conversion design. You can have the idea, and I'm like, hey, we're using that somewhere else.
Oh, for sure.
But it's like here, it's like, and so this is out there, and like there are times where it's like, hey, gain 3 trade goods. Well, in old TI, you would just pick up 3 trade goods, and they were trade goods from the get-go. It would be like grabbing 3 imperial trade goods. Well, now instead, it's draw 3 trade goods from the bank. Or from the treasury. So now you got to draw 3 randomly and go, okay, I'm the green player and I drew, 3 that aren't mine colors. So they count as trade goods for me, and I can put them in my trade good pile. But if I drew, 2 greens and a pink, I go,
I only got 1.
I got one, but I need to get 2 commodities, but I hope I'm not stuffed in my commodities yet.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So now if you're Hakan and every time trade happens, you're producing 6 trade goods, you can throw them out on the economy, but they are going to end up in here.
Yeah.
Polluting, and so you can overproduce your stuff and flood the economy, and suddenly you start going to get trade goods out on the map, because that's another thing is like trade goods can appear out here on the map on planets.
Oh my gosh, what?
And you could pick them up and haul them. Yeah. Let me grab. All right, because you've got
pull the stuff out.
Pulling the stuff out.
More. Show me more.
Show you more. You've got freighters.
What?
Literally.
What?
You got what now?
Freighters.
Oh, hauling freight. Get Big Al in here.
Hauling freight. Literally.
Oh man.
They pick up trade goods, and you have to bring them back to your space docks to add them to your play area. So now
Man.
So cool.
Civilian ships do not trigger combat on their own, so you can
Mm.
fly through enemy space because they're not military vessels.
Mm-hmm.
So your other guy's got a trade station in his area. Let me grab a trade station of a different color.
Mintac breaks the rules on this, right?
We'll talk about Mentec. They're another case. But like here, there's a trade station there that's producing trade goods. You may be trying to fly through there to grab them on your way out, to pick them up and add them to your pile to try and then get them back to your own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You've got freighters which can haul 4. You've also got
man,
traders which can carry 1.
it's like the Schroeder of the trade ship, the merchant navy.
But the difference is that when you refresh traders, if they are next to somebody else's trade station, let me grab a third color trade station. They're next to somebody else's trade station. They are going to produce one of their own, drop it at that location, and then forcefully take one of that player's color, and it goes straight to your supply. It's
Oh
a
my
forced
gosh.
trade.
Oh.
It's a forced trade. So
That's great.
I'm gonna get a purple. Here I'm gonna get not that. I'm gonna get a green one because it's the green trade station. I'm gonna get a green trade good. I'm gonna leave one of mine behind and run off with it.
That's cool.
So it's a smaller benefit, but it's immediate versus a freighter, which can run through and grabs 4, and zooms back home, and suddenly you've got 4 trade goods sitting there to build a destroyer, or a carrier, or dreadnought, or whatever.
And you could have both of these out on the board doing work.
You can have both of these out on the board doing work.
Yeah, cool.
Oh man,
wow,
I like that.
Goodness.
And you've got a variety of units of civilian structures out there now. You can put a colony on something, which increases its influence value by 1.
Yeah.
So now, like, lore is now a 3, so it's a nice efficient value for grabbing command tokens with. You can put a refinery out on something, so to increase its resource value by 1.
Love it.
You've got trade stations, which are flags for right now, and then you have embassies, which are very much involved with the diplomacy game, and we'll talk about the diplomatic meeples and the worker placement and the rondel in a little bit. Embassies are for courier ships, diplomatic courier ships. This is where you're formally sending ships to open trade negotiations and to open diplomatic relations with other people. Embassies that are adjacent to other embassies generate resources that influence the meeple game. But then they also inherently form networks that are natural targets for the diplomats to come in and leech off them and try and also get benefits.
Oh, love it.
So when it comes to combat, if somebody activates a system that has civilian ships in it, the activating player gets to decide if they're fighting in the civilian shipping lanes or not. And if they are, all civilian ships that are there are included in the fight. The defender rolls for them. But the rule is, first you have to apply hits to military ships, then you apply hits to the Imperial Navy, which I don't have a handy analog within arm's reach for. But
there is an Imperial Navy that could be involved.
They're police forces. They're security guards.
Totally.
They're out there trying to protect the civilians from getting shot at. So if you're shooting at civilians and they are there, they will defend the civilians, and you can't actually hit the civilians until the Imperial Navy is wiped out.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense.
But they're purely in a defensive role, so it's not like a neutral force that you can manipulate to wipe on or beat on somebody. This is your great ship, which is a combination courier and trader and quasi-military vessel, because the way the rules work, these guys are defined as having cargo, not capacity. Military ships have capacity. Military ships have capacity that can hold units,
Yeah.
or can be used to carry this stuff around and haul it, but it gets dumped in space when you get to your location, like you do with capacity. It just goes into the space area. Cargo is held on the ship. You don't let it go when you arrive. So your great ship has capacity, which means it's a civilian ship that can fly through enemy spaces, but it has capacity, meaning you can haul fighters
or a mech
or a mech or other
you can
stuff.
stealth bomb people with it.
You could stealth bomb people with it. However, there are repercussions for doing that because, it's a civilian ship.
Yeah.
But again, you're playing dirty. You're not playing by the rules.
Dirty boy.
Most of those repercussions, then are
in the diplomatic
table meta.
Oh, table meta. Okay.
That's great.
It's cheaper than a flagship. The other thing that your great ship does that makes you not want to necessarily risk it is your great ship, when it arrives in Mechatol Rex, there's a new leader type that's your envoy, who's part of your diplomatic corps. And to unlock him, you have to build your great ship at your home and then fly it all the way to Mechatol Rex. And then you unlock your envoy to Mechatol Rex. And your diplomatic corps gets upgraded, which then gives you more control over here.
Okay.
But if your great ship is blown up, you don't get your envoy.
Yeah.
Oh.
So and if your envoy is out here running around, running raiding, it's not on Mechatol Rex. So I very much have tried to give players push-pull, unclear choices. What is best for situationally may vary from situation to situation.
Word.
So I think that it will create an interesting dynamic. Hey, and then you have the interest, the stuff where you're like, you may the sea alone freighter, you may be attacking it in piracy just to blow it up and try and steal the trade goods off it because it's managed to collect a big haul and you've got an empty freighter there or nearby. You know what I mean? To try and wipe it out, and you can move your freighter in, pick all that stuff up, and then try and get it out of there before,
Wow.
We'll see what happens.
Oh my goodness.
Man, this is like a whole new layer that I really like this a lot.
So a lot of the stuff I'll give credit where credit is due. A lot of the civilian stuff came from Wecker to produce a civilians expansion early on, and I asked him, hey, if I could steal it and integrate it, and he said, cool. So here I am, and parts of it have changed because his was much more extensive. And again, when I'm adding all this much together, there's only so much that I could give as far as a player's time, effort, energy, and mental capacity to tracking and following any one piece of it. So I had to simplify it down and integrate it in. But again, doing it in a way that isn't just cutting it out and leaving it as its own thing. I wanted all the different pieces that I'm integrating to integrate with each other so that it felt like a seamless whole. So that's where hey, I'm doing the stuff over here with Mechatol Rex. I want it to play into it. So, your great ship being your envoy's home ship, getting him to Mechatol Rex is very thematic. And now this civilian unit has a piece of this other expansion.
Yeah.
And it all stitches together. So that's one of the reasons it's taken so long. It'd be easy to go on Reddit or Board Game Geek and download 3 expansions and just shove it all on the table, and you're just playing a game with 3 different expansions that don't necessarily play with each other. And there's a lot more, but it's not integrated. It doesn't balance out.
That's what it
anything
felt
you're
like.
doing this doesn't in place with that.
That's what it felt like playing TI3 with all of the optional rules by the end of the whole experience. It was kind of like that. Like all these things are not talking to each other. You know?
And I wanted to avoid that. And some people criticized TI4, Prophecy of Kings, because it was all integrated. And they were like, I would have rather had little modules that I could pick and choose. And there are folks who are developing homebrew on the Homebrew Hub right now that are doing exactly that. They are taking... one guy's got an expansion. I think he calls it Fractured Imperium. I may be getting these confused.
I've heard of that.
It's TI4 with all the benefits of POK without the complexity. Like leaders have been turned purely into faction abilities, so you don't have to deal with the leader side of it. Some of the other stuff with he's trying to come up with it. If POK is 2.0 and base game was 1.0, he's trying to come up with a 1.5.
Curious.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
But he approaches the design philosophy very differently because people will throw an idea out there, and for his system it means one thing, and like nobility it would play out completely differently. And we're not afraid to talk about that in the Discord, where it's like, hey, it would work this way for you, and I could see it working well for you. It might work better for you. It would work differently for you. It doesn't really work for you, but that's because it would mean this, this, and this, as opposed to you, where it would just slot right in or do something different.
Wow.
But like that's the civilian side, and we're just barely scratching the surface. Whole new set of strategy cards.
Gosh.
Yes.
How many are there?
9?
9.
9. Okay.
Because mathematically, adding 1 makes 8 was perfect for 6 players because then there were always 2 that were not unpicked. With a 6-player game now, there will be 3 that are unpicked, but I'm adding 1 purely as a way to integrate and support all the additional mechanics that we're adding.
Yeah.
So
totally.
it's to support, it's so that now you have a strategy card that's involved in it. Like you could throw a lot of the other things you might be able to integrate it in. Like monuments was integrated with construction. You take construction, you could build your monument. And that's fine. But I've added enough that I don't want to just integrate stuff piecemeal. So I'm adding stuff. Let me flip my screen over here to the close up here. And let's see if it'll focus here. Focus, you fuck. Come on, you. It's like, no, I don't want to focus.
I don't know.
Oh, there
it goes.
There we are.
All right.
Intimidation.
Yeah. Place, instead of gain 3 strategy tokens, it's gain 3 and put 1 in each of your pools.
Oh, okay.
So it plays a little differently. At the end of the turn, you can put them wherever you want, but right away, it has a little different feel to it. It may be a good idea, maybe a bad idea. It may end up being just like leadership by the time we finish playtesting it. Nothing is set in stone. That's another one of my design principles. Proof is in the playtest. Fun is all the justification needed. Spend any amount of influence to gain 1 command token for every 3 influence spent. And then the tertiary is a special ability, and this is where I got to look over here at the rondel. Flip my camera over here. Oh, hit the right button here. Come on. In addition to each of these spaces, people will use this to claim the strategy cards, but after that, there's going to be a little button on each of these for claiming the tertiary of that strategy card. So like one player may get, intimidation here, but a different player can steal the tertiary. Now they have to wait for the person who owns the strategy card to play it, but they have to wait for the person who owns the strategy card to play it, but then the owner who does the primary, everybody does the secondary, and then the person who owns the tertiary gets to do the tertiary. In Intimidation's case, there's an intimidation token that they can put on a leader, which takes it out of the game for the remainder of the round.
Oh.
That's
Cool.
awesome.
No say you for you.
Yeah.
Not this round, which then means now people have a reason if their hero is critical to take time and effort and energy to invest their diplomatic core in maybe controlling the tertiary of intimidation so that they can protect their path to victory.
Oh, okay.
So now none of this is set in stone because until the person plays intimidation, somebody can claim the tertiary, somebody else can come along with a bigger diplomat and take it away from them before it gets played.
Wow.
So stalling may not be your best option if you're in control, which adds like a whole new element to that. Okay.
Right. A lot of that stalling is I wanted to play with the stalling game. There's another aspect of that that's huge too, but I don't want to spoil it. We'll get to that in a minute. So like here's a good example of, intimidation. We'll just do them in order. Intrigue. This would be the replacement for diplomacy. Assuming it thing. Choose one system other than the Mechatol Rex system that contains a planet you control. Each other player places a command token from his reinforcements in the chosen system. That's Diplo, straight and true and through.
Mm-hmm.
Ready up to 2 exhausted planets you control. Add 3 prestige from your reinforcements to any one of your diplomats and place them in Mechatol City. I'm calling these prestige. These are the donuts.
The donuts. Yes.
Hey,
Diplomacy
there we
runs
go.
on donuts.
I love
So-
it.
So you get to take 3 and place them in Mechatol City. So when you play the token, you know, here I'm going to take a consul, which is the middleweight guy, and I'm going to put three prestige on him. So now he has a power level of 6, a prestige level of 6.
Oh yeah.
So against anything that has a prestige level of 5, this guy can take control of that space from that person.
Of course.
So as part of intrigue, now I can do it. So I may use this as a way to take something back from somebody, where I had something there that was a value of 4, somebody moved in with something with a value of 5. Now I'm moving in something with a value of 6 because the 6 and 4 makes 10, which is way more than the 5 that other guy's got.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness. So you can really start to throw your weight around diplomatically.
Yeah,
Right.
which is intrigue. Yeah.
So the tertiary of this one is ready a planet that you control that contains an embassy. Sounds pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
Right. But
pretty
now you're thinking about where your embassies are at.
Exactly.
And embassies can be worth huge because
Mhm.
they add to the influence value of the planet they're on
Oh.
based on the number of other embassies that are in the area. So you can have some planets that have huge influence value
counts.
because of
Whoa.
this stuff. And a lot of these things, again, some of this stuff guided as a placeholder. Hey, let's try this, see how it feels. It may need to change. That is one that I recognize may need to change, or I'll have something else in playtest to go, that's what the tertiary should be.
Wow.
Power. This would be the replacement for politics. Now, when it comes to the general organization of the strategy cards and the roles, there are 3 major roles, which correspond to 3 of the strategy cards. And then there are 6 other roles that correspond to the other 6 strategy cards. And they tend to be in groups of 3. So the first 2 and then the speaker. The speaker corresponds to politics.
Okay.
'Cause
Yeah.
This is how you become the speaker.
Yeah.
Add 5 total popular support to the objectives on the docket. The docket is where you're choosing objectives. So now you just added 5 votes. Scatter. You can put them all in one place, or you could scatter them around for objectives on the voting docket for choosing what objectives are going to become scoreable.
Oh.
That's a power
Yep.
move.
Yeah, that's a power move.
Yeah.
5 votes is a significant number because
Mhm.
voting is not done with planets.
It's
When
done
it
with
comes
your
to the
meeples.
objectives, it's done with your meeples.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So
I like.
5 is the same value as you get from an ambassador, because
Wow.
ambassadors are worth 5, consuls are worth 3. I'm calling these guys for right now. I don't know. I played around with the idea of calling them either military attachés, guards,
Call them interns.
legates. Would be an old Roman term that would actually fit, because legates were political soldiers.
Interesting.
But they have a value of 1. Legates are, and this is where I talk a little bit. I mentioned in the pre-show about how I'm reusing familiar mechanisms from TI4 so that it's easier to pick up. Legates and power tokens and prestige tokens are interchangeable. Okay. Like with infantry, you could have infantry tokens and you could have infantry flags. These are your diplomatic flags. These are your diplomatic tokens.
Yeah.
So you can exchange them, but you have a limited number of legates to use.
Totally.
Understand how it works when I equate them to infantry flags?
Yeah.
Okay. And that then plays into how they work out in Mechatol City. Renovation is your replacement for construction. Placing PDS space dock or facility. Facility are your civilian structures. Place a PDS, a space dock or facility, and then you can put another facility on it. Anytime you build somewhere, you get to put a facility there.
Oh, okay.
And you can use this to do 2 space docks.
Yeah.
Right.
So hot.
Mm-hmm.
And then move a number of your civilian ships equal to the fleet supply into adjacent systems. So it gives you an ability to kind of, hey, work that renovation. There's construction fleets moving around. We're going to kind of, nudge your ships around to help your civilians can just kind of move around without having to be activated. They can move away from an activated system. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Work your stuff. So this is another way to sneak your civilian ships in or around to grab stuff. And then the tertiary is, of course, to place your monument or 2 Imperial frigates in the Mechatol Rex system. So this is where the Imperial frigates get built. Especially after everybody's got their monument. By then, probably the number of Imperial frigates has dropped, and you need to replenish it. Economics. This is your replacement for trade. Replenish your commodities. Exchange a commodity with an Imperial market draw for each trade station you have. This is an automatic thing where it's like, hey, I have 3 trade stations out there. I can just immediately drop my 3 commodities into the market bowl and draw 3 new ones. So I may change my mix right off the bat. I'm trying to move away from trade turning into this ginormous 30-minute trade fest. Let's streamline it by decreasing the amount of trading that needs to happen exactly on that spot in that timing window.
Yeah.
Spend a token. The tertiary is to draw a number of trade goods equal to your commodity value from the bank, then deposit an equal mix of commodities and trade goods. So this is where you can, the other one lets you do it, but then you can do it again. So to trying again to do that luck of the draw, let me see if I can draw things that are good for me right off the bat and just do it with the economy as opposed to. And then where I fail is where I can do trading with other people. But again, trading works differently here. It's not an immediate thing, and we talk about that later.
Wow.
Yeah, this is incredible.
Favor. This is a new one.
Yeah.
So that's a big change from what the 6 was before.
This is a new one because, again, I wanted 2 and a power, 2 and a major roll, 2 and a major roll, 2 and a major roll.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So favor corresponds to your administrator. And it's remove up to 2 diplomats from Mechatol City and take a diplomatic action. So where your people have been outmaneuvered, you can just pull them out of there on the area control, and then immediately place one somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So again, there's an area control thing going on in Mechatol City.
Yeah.
Swap the popular support of 2 objectives.
I like
that one.
I like that a lot.
This had 3 residual support from last round, and this one's got 1. Swap them. So again, you're putting the residual support on something that you really want to keep around. You're manipulating public opinion. And then you can veto one objective and place it on the bottom of its respective deck. Oh, and by the way, that objective is not going to come into play this round.
Wow.
It's not even an option.
Wow.
I'm gonna filibuster that one. It got lost in the administrative sauce and just somehow didn't show up for voting. I
love that. What a good card.
And then for secondary, spend 1 token of your strategy to remove one of your diplomats. So if you're getting outmaneuvered and you want to try and outmaneuver whatever the diplomat's doing, you could spend a strategy token to do it. And then the tertiary, this is where I bring in a little bit of the, if you're familiar with the bureaucracy. There is a lock token that you can use to lock one of the common decks.
Ooh, wow.
Okay.
Nobody can draw from that deck until something else gets locked. You could lock an objective deck. You could lock an agenda deck. You can lock the action card deck.
Woo! Lock the action card deck. That is so cool.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's a power move, but again, people can contest it.
Resources, yeah.
Yeah, you're committing real resource, and these are diplomats that you need to control what objectives come into the game. Is it worth it? Or is it worth it more to make sure the objectives that come into the game are scoreable for you? So there's a push-pull there that I think over time people will initially be like all over this stuff, and then there'll be one player who saves all their diplomats to control the voting. And it just has a clean path to victory the entire game.
Wow.
So this is like Intimidation, but for decks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
Guard is the replacement for Warfare. Remove one of your command tokens and gain one. Redistribute your command tokens. You may produce one unit at one of your space docks. Place an Imperial frigate in this system.
Nice.
Oh.
Is a frigate just like a cruiser or something?
It has its own.
It has its own stats.
It has its own stats.
Uh-huh.
Imperial frigate, Peacekeeper patrol. Assigned hits before other civilian ships on same side and after non-civilian ships have been assigned hits. Civilian, bombardment 8, anti-fighter barrage.
Oh, it's
Cost
civilian.
2, it's a civilian ship. And it's combat 8, move 1.
Huh.
This assigned hits before other civilian ships is to create that hierarchy for assigning hits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Totally. Okay. So it's not a super badass thing.
It's not a super badass thing, but it's better than a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Worse than a cruiser. But it's kind of a jack of all trades because, like I said, shenanigans. It does have bombardment and it does have anti-fighter barrage.
Yeah.
Crappy versions of it, but it does have both.
But shenanigans can happen.
Technocracy is basically technology. It's nothing fancy there. The only other thing there is like you can forbid a leader and you can forbid decks. There's a mechanism in here for forbidding technology temporarily.
Ha!
So again, it doesn't count for a tech objective while it's forbidden.
Oh.
So now one of those things that I wanted to do with the design was give you ways to influence somebody's scoring of objectives that were pretty much unblockable before.
Word.
Mm-hmm.
Blue tech
I like
forbidden.
New tech forbidden. Privilege is the replacement for Imperial, and that's for the Regent role. When you control Mechatol Rex, you are the Regent. When you are in the last place for score, you are the Administrator. And politics, you use the strategy card to claim it, which is different than the other roles. During the strategy phase, you're going to have a token that stays on which strategy card you have and what your first round pick is. The first round, you just get to pick it, put your guy out, claim the matching strategy card like normal. From then on, to claim the next one requires that you use a diplomat to move to the next card that you want. So green says, hey, I have 3. The next round, he wants to go to 8. That's 5. So he has to use an ambassador to move himself there. So he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's there. No big deal. He claims 8. Not a problem. Somebody else comes along. We're going to use orange here. Okay. Even though for somehow... pretend that's orange. There we go. Now the numbers are right. Orange is trying to get to 9. Okay. So he's like, okay, I'm just going to use a console to do that. 1, this is already taken, doesn't count. 2, he's there, fine. He can claim 9 without a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Green's out here. He's on 7. He wants to get all the way to 4. Or not green. What's the color I don't have on there? Purple? Purple's not on there.
Prepara's playing. He's trying to get to 4.
Yeah, Prepara's trying to get to 4, yeah.
Yeah, Prepara's trying to get to 4. So he goes, doesn't count. 1, 2, 3, 4 is in range. Say he's actually trying to get to 5. He has to perform a dirty deed to get to 5. Okay, which means he's leaving political collateral out there on the board. This then becomes something that somebody else can pick up. You can use political collateral to negate one planet's voting or a diplomat's voting.
Oh, okay.
And I think for simplicity, I'm leaning towards letting it do planets too, but I'm going to play test that first. In the beginning, I think it'll just be to use it to like negate a diplomat. So I can claim this now, and if I'm ever in a contest against Purple's diplomats, I can play that to negate one of the Purple's diplomats' beauty. I've got dirty evidence on that diplomat. He done bad, and I can embarrass him in front of the Senate, and he's got to go home with and not get any supper.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now you have to think about not only which strategy card are you getting, but which strategy card are you getting when, and making a huge movement here may mean that you end up leaving things behind, or you have to sacrifice one of your really powerful ambassadors to make it safely. Now I don't have this to use for controlling either role cards, which we haven't talked about yet, or the tertiaries. Or you can also then, as a diplomatic action, you can place your thing out either to here to vote on an objective, because the docket will be built built by this point, or to you can save them to use them in the agenda phase as additional planets for voting. But you have to decide then where you're going to put your diplomats, because you only have 3 or 4 diplomats to start with. It's not like you have a huge number, so you have to put some thought into what you're going to do with them. Funny side note, let's say that this guy is here controlling the tertiary, and this guy shows up and he outvotes him because you have 4 versus 5. When the 5 beats the 4, he gets to steal a ring from him.
Oh.
I've embarrassed him, and I really am power. So now somebody else has got to come back with more. It's going to take at least 2 to take it back. At the end of the round, all your own color come off your stuff. If you want, you can leave them behind. The other thing is that in the status phase, ambassadors come off. The legates do not necessarily. These are like command counters. You can't move your leaders from a place where there's a command counter. Now you can reactivate it, unlike, because theme and variation, you can activate it again to add another one, but anything that's there can't move. Legates can be moved. So I can leave it here from round to round to kind of claim the tertiary of this with some power. But yet I may decide, hey, I actually want him to join this guy over here. He then joins him in this action and he comes with. Now he's locked there for that action. Because he's with a diplomatic command counter. Yeah. Otherwise, these guys you can leave out, so that gives you some terrain on hey, who controls it? What's going to take to plan on it? Is he going to pull that guy out of there? When do I time it? So I'm trying to create some timing, some ways to play with the timing of those things. But again, relying on familiar TI4 concepts that I explained. These guys are like command counters, can't move away from command counters. These guys get left behind, but But again, sometimes you want to leave these things behind because you may, I could pull my own power off them. The green stays, but I could pull these off because then I can allocate them as I'm playing tokens around and buff somebody up.
Yeah.
And I could choose to put them on my regular diplomats, or I could choose to put them on my guards, because then my guards can hold something with more strength at the end of the round.
No, that makes sense.
I'm trying to keep it elegant.
No, you're fine. It seems you're trying to mess with the speaker order meta. That seems to really permeate with things by booking on the objectives that are scoreable, and then being able to control what strategy cards people can get besides just speaker orders. So I totally see what you're going for here, and I appreciate that a lot.
I'm trying to create a 3-way power struggle on the objective manipulation. The regent controls and it can manipulate who are the 6 roles that are picking the objectives that get put in, so that he can try and manipulate them, so that he can guarantee that there is a smattering of objectives up there that he can score. The administrator is directly manipulating the actual voting of objectives, and then the speaker, his thing is he gets priority for scoring the objectives that actually end up. So you end up there are 3 different points in where an objective is coming into play, is getting voted on, and then is getting scored, and each of those roles is kind of the top dog in each of the 3 parts of that process.
I appreciate that larger scale look.
It's starting to come together. It's
starting
with that glue.
To crystallize. Totally.
Right. Because you have, and maybe there's a good time to talk about the roles. It's hey, the speaker, the arbitrator, the administrator, the treasurer, the admiral.
Hey, it's you.
The commissar.
Yep.
The big boy.
The architect. Your big 3 are the speaker, the administrator, and the chamberlain. but then you've got the three smaller ones that are doing stuff too. These are the ones that are controlling which, either each of the objective decks, the primary objective decks, there are 6 of them that you're using on your docket, match each of these roles. So the people with these roles are the ones picking which ones. They draw one from that objective deck, and they can either decide to substitute it for the one that's on the docket, or trunk it and leave the one that's on the docket on the bottom. So it's real quick. It's real easy to build your docket. And I'm also playing with your timing meta because each role has a unique pass action. It's an action that you could just pass like normal if you wanted to. But these have pass actions that vary from role to role that you could do instead of just passing. The architect, when he passes, could remove a structure from one of his planets or her planets on one of their planets and place it on a different planet they control. I'm going to move my space. I'm going to pass and move my space dock. I'm going to pass and move my PDS. I'm going to pass and move my monument. I'm going to pass and move my embassy.
Wow.
I'm going to pass and move
that's huge.
Trade station somewhere else. The admiral could pass and build 2 Imperial frigates at an Imperial facility, Mechatol Rex, or one of their space docks. Hi, I'm the admiral in charge of, I command the Imperial fleet. I need 2 frigates over here.
Because I like how these are like on brand with the lore too, like what you're doing there, like the
very thematic
thing, like is that world? I like how thematic they are. Exactly.
The commissar can pass and intimidate somebody. So again, it's another way to control that intimidation token. I think there's a double down there that I may have missed making, and I may have forgotten to update a component. I'll have to compare my notes and see if I intended to change one of those two. The arbitrator exhausts an objective on the docket.
Wow.
They place a permanent support on the objective for each diplomat on that objective that has already voted for that objective, because you vote on them throughout the action phase by using your folks as a diplomatic action, like a tactical action. But instead of taking one from your tactics, you're using one of your command counters here to vote on something. So those get voted on, and it stays on the docket. It's not removed, and it will be voted on again could be voted on next round. But it's like, hey, this one we're not doing. So now you have 2 of the 4 basically pulled out of play if the arbitrator is in play, because the arbitrator's strategy card is just saying no to something. No, we're not doing that. It's out, and it's booting it permanently. This guy is saying, we're going to say no to that one and not vote on that one this round. I'm going to filibuster that one, but it's still around, and we may vote on it next turn. The treasurer gets to remove their commodities from the Imperial Treasury and return them to their reinforcements.
Oh, that's
awesome. The way you reset yourself in the...
my God. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because you need a way to reset. So the Hakan grabs the treasurer just so they can pull all their stuff out of the market. And then the Inquisitor can pay influence to unforbid a technology. So that's how you get your text back. You got to become the Inquisitor, and then you can do stuff. Speaker gets to add 3 support to objectives on the docket, not as much as the strategy card, but they can add some support to something. The Chamberlain passes, and they can pay a strategy token to use a combination of 2 unclaimed or unexhausted strategy cards. And it's pay to use the secondary ability of 2 unclaimed or unexhausted strategy cards.
Okay.
There's a typo there.
Word.
But they get to use this. So with 9 cards, you're going to have stuff that has either not been claimed or hasn't been played yet.
Yeah.
So now I have a push-pull. Oh, you're gonna stall that. Well, I'm gonna do it now, but it means that I have to pass early.
Yeah.
Administrator, draw 2 or more public objectives from any objective and return them to the top or bottom of that deck in any order. So they get to curate a deck.
Yeah.
They can curate the one that they're in charge, one of the ones that's out there, but they're like, hey, I don't want either of these objectives to even be considered. So I'm going to bury both of them so that we, more likely to see something that I want. But again, you get pass actions with these. And if you have multiple roles, you can pick which one you use. You don't have to use them all. So I'm trying to make them, the pass actions are not things that are critical to happen. They are just, you can get a little bonus that may be timing sensitive. Do I do it early or do I do it late? When am I passing? Do I leave it till I pass, or do I pass early because I need the benefit earlier? What can you use your diplomatic meeples for? You're going to use it to get the strategy token you need. You're going to use it to claim roles. You're going to use it to claim tertiaries that you want to claim. You're going to use it to. You could potentially use it to bust an agenda, like if you're speaker, and you want some extra votes for the objectives or the agendas that are going to be coming up.
Yeah.
You can use it there. You're going to use them for the objectives, which is where probably ultimately the most important place to use them is. But you've got all this candy out here that could be potentially useful too.
Mm-hmm. No, I like that a lot.
Trade.
Yeah.
And then the trade area. I'm blatantly stealing something from Dane too.
Nice.
He mentioned in a stream, one of the 25th anniversary streams, and he said it in a public stream, so I'm considering it open season.
All right.
He was like, what if with trade, when you make a trade with somebody, instead of immediately happening, it goes to like a trade area and it's held for a while. So for this, like when you make a trade with somebody of promissory notes or trade goods or something, it goes to the trade area until the status phase when it gets resolved.
In the status phase.
Right. Unless, and this is where I'm playing into, you have to encourage the use of traders and diplomats, or traders and couriers, you have a direct neighbor relationship using those specific units.
Using civilian units.
Right.
Word.
So if you have a trader that's adjacent to them, you can trade commodities right away, or they have one with you.
Yeah.
You can just make the trade right away. Hey, do we actually have a trade partnership, meaning we have a trader that can handle the transaction? When it comes to promissory notes, does either of us have a courier ship adjacent to the other guy's embassy to handle the transaction right away? Otherwise, it comes to the trade area and it gets resolved in the status phase.
Wild.
Okay.
Wild.
And you talked about Mentech earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, his comment in the stream was, what if everything went to this trade area and Mentech pillaged the trade area instead of each transaction?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
There it is.
Some food for thought.
Sounds fun.
So
no, that
eventually I'll get into messing with the factions and rebalancing the factions for these mechanics, but one pie at a time.
Yeah, no joke.
Got a lot of pies in the oven, by the way.
So
like an industrial kitchen going on.
So I'm curious, like having seen a lot of this stuff, I feel like a consequence of it, and I'm not saying like it's going to be a bad consequence or anything like that, but it seems like it would lead to more rounds, and then some of the rounds being like kind of like shorter. Like I like the idea of like there's not, especially with these pass like mechanics and everything, it seems like there's less of an incentive to like stall out a big round or whatever.
Right. And because the reality is you're not losing, and you're going to have the command tokens for the following round. It's the same number of actions. It's just how they're going to break up across all the rounds. As far as games being longer or shorter, a lot of that will be player dependent, because it will depend entirely on what objectives they're bringing into play. If they're bringing in 3-point objectives or 2-point objectives for everything right off the bat, because there's no limitation on what they vote in.
Oh.
So they could vote in 2-point objectives right off the bat and just immediately start scoring 2-point, 2-point, 2-pointer, and boom, they're done in 3 rounds. Because, well, maybe not 2, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
But if they are only voting in 1-point objectives continuously, it's gonna, it's more likely to end in Imperium Rex, but that's a player choice. If everybody at the table is all gung ho about playing a war game, they may pass nothing but exterminate objectives and just score points, pounding on each other. If they want to play a real maneuvery, backstabby game, they may be picking more of the exploit objectives or the political, or if they want to play a real big trade heavy game, who can get the best trade engine going, they're going to be picking trade objectives.
Wow.
Economic objectives.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
That's another point. Is before you were at the slate, you're at the power of whatever kinds of objectives came up, and could you adapt to whatever the objectives were? Now you have to see, well, what are the objectives? How can I adapt and influence what objectives come up to create the game that I want to play?
And that's all happening, like, with everyone
real
doing
time,
it at the same time.
Politically,
It's so
everybody hammering on everybody.
I think
arguing
once you get
about
the grasp
stuff.
of it, I can just see. Yeah, I think it'll get rolling. I really do. Now that you're pointing out, it's like, okay, what kind of game we having today, guys?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. We want to play hell mode and just annihilate each other. Okay, here come the annihilation objectives,
For real.
Mhm.
and everybody's okay with those, so they vote them in.
Yeah.
I for one love the idea that it's like you're not going to be able to just blame this mysterious like 7th player for like how the game has rolled out. It's like we all fucking wanted this nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Yeah,
game
and
turned
I,
out to be a
you-
nightmare, and it's all
And you're like, you know what? The objectives didn't favor me, but I should have invested heavier in this. You know, like
Mhm.
You
it
should
I-
have.
it gets me
There's
more
a way to
honest.
fix it.
There's
Yeah,
a way to fix
you
it.
invest more into the political game so you could play your diplomat game better and hopefully influence the objectives more.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Wow.
So there's more of a zigzag. But again, you doing that, or are you playing the economic game, trying to manipulate the mechanisms as the administrator to get a
Mhm.
powerful empire going that can do lots of things, or are you the Chamberlain who is trying to play behind the scenes and very carefully and subtly manipulate things by manipulating who has what roles and other those like those Excel objectives, trying to control and manipulate the game and backstabbery so that you can sneak into a win.
No, I really, really like the direction you're going with this. Like it really kind of is at least attempting to address a lot of the things that not just myself, but I feel like a lot of people are voicing about. And yeah, I really personally have kind of like latched onto your idea of how the economics go. I actually think that's really, really interesting. What about you,
Sure.
Brass? What's like your big?
Oh
kinda-
no, I'm a huge fan of all of it. Pretty much, I love how you've put so much thought into like the macro aspect of it, and then you're like kind of working more into the micro aspects of it. Like when I do creative work, I tend to like go for that same kind of thing where it's like, okay, I've got this big title, I've got these like big like chunks that are all going to fit together in this way on this like top level, and then now let's go into the micro aspect and see how all those smaller pieces fit into the big pieces. And it's just been absolutely fascinating to get this whole play-by-play of all these mechanics, and I love how it's all fitting together.
No, I really like the direction you're taking. I'm not kidding, Phil. Like there was a lot to absorb, but like once I started, I like how you started at the bottom and worked up, like on the mechanical level, if that makes sense. Like we saw the components and then we learned those, and then once you told us what was going on, like when that glue started to click, I just really started to latch onto what you were doing there.
The name of the expansion is Nobility Rising. It's focusing on the custodians and what the custodians are doing. Because theoretically, you are the nobles, you are the custodians, trying to control and develop and manage and politically lead an empire, which means political infighting with each other, which means grand speeches, which means, hey, tactically I have to consider this, but then I have to look at the table meta and I've got all this stuff going on and somebody is going, hey, we need to deal with this, otherwise we're all screwed. We have to work together. Meanwhile, we're all trying to backstab each other. Meanwhile, we're stealing each other's lunch donuts.
Yeah.
Well, Phil, that was a lot, but like it was a lot. It was, man, I'm not like the payoff was huge once it clicked for me. Like
Totally.
I don't want to, I do not want to undersell that point. Like once I finally clicked what you were going for, I was like, oh, I can see how like even these little things, like you started with the trade frigates. We saw the frigates rolling. It's like, okay, well now like, do I need to stop this economy engine or do I need to do this? And I need like, there's a lot more difficult and nuanced decisions here that I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Like, Brass, do you have anything to add to that? I mean, I know that's like condensing what he said and simplifying it too much, but I don't have words because I want to play this. Like I'm volunteering right now to play with you.
Definitely.
Like if you ever have an opportunity, like I
don't have a lot to say other than like I've been I've been promising Phil that I will help play test this for months. I've been telling him that I will help play test it, and it's gonna happen for real. Frox and I are gonna drop in the game, and we are gonna really give this a cruise. And I don't know.
When
Maybe
you're ready for it.
yeah,
Of
maybe
course.
I'll play Mentak. Maybe I will do some pillaging from the trade area. Who knows?
Yeah. Here's
Yeah.
here's one of your secret objectives. This might define your whole play strategy because it's complete 3 exploit objectives.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, I like that.
An objective
It's
contingent
doctrine
on
of
doing other
opportunity.
objectives.
So you've decided your faction needs to be very opportunistic this game. Boom.
Wow.
All right, and then
like
there's
that.
other ones. There's one for each of the 6 main decks. Doctrine of this, doctrine of that, doctrine of.
Well, gosh. Yeah, I think we're just gonna go ahead and wrap up what has been our part 2 with Commissar Phil Roy, my boy. Thank you so much. We've had such a wonderful time.
Oh,
Hey, and I'll even just let you go here, but I will
Yeah.
just say for the record that there are more goodies to talk about.
Oh, of
Because
course.
we didn't talk about changes to the unit tree.
Oh.
We didn't talk about the tech tree at all.
Oh no.
So-
Didn't talk about Purple Tech.
Oh no,
We
didn't
have
talk
more
about
content to
Purple
put out
We
there
didn't
for
talk about
everyone?
Prepara's Tech.
Oh, shame on us. We may have to bring the tech specialist on for that little ditty. To be honest with you. Oh
Yep.
man, no, Phil. I mean, there's just a lot to unpack here, and I think for me personally, I need to come back to this, and I want to play a
Yeah.
game, and then I want to talk about it.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
think we need to work with you on that. And while we're maybe cruising through some Across the Obelisk, we can set a date for that.
Sounds good to me, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy it. May it be
Yeah.
quiet and peaceful because I used to work on an ambulance, and exciting days are for the birds.
Hey, same to
Straight-
you, Phil. We appreciate
straight
you,
on,
man.
dude.
But Russ, do you think we maybe have to
Do
take
the
a break
thing?
with our boy?
Do that thing? Yeah.
Yeah, do that thing.
Yep.
Let's do that thing where we chill with Big Al Cappuccino.
Twilight Imperium is like life, complicated and messy. We are taught early that life is not fair, and it isn't, and neither is Twilight Imperium. This is by design in respect of both. The trick is coming to terms with it and then deciding whether you engage, invest and play or not. No shade from Big Al either way. What we do ask is when you play Twilight Imperium, as in life, that you engage with your fellow players with respect and araha above the table, that you do unto others, and sometimes agree to disagree. Accept the diversity and differing philosophies is hard, but good. Lord, give me the strength to accept that which I cannot change, including support for the throne as the 10th point, to play with grace and compassion, and get the big W more often than I truly deserve.